All right, we're back for the third and final match of today where we're running Simic Nexus through the Gauntlet. We saw a draw against Esper Control. We saw a very close match on the Azorius Aggro matchup, just like one turn here or there short, but that is the downside of having a deck with no spot removal, no real way to stall the clock from the opposing aggressive side other than a fog effect. And without going all in on the fog effects, just having 4 root snares to go along with those 4 Nexus of Fate, I found myself pretty regularly just kind of running out of mana to do all the things I was trying to do. Nexus of Fate costs 7. That's a lot. And a lot of times when you miss a land drop here, even with a Wilderness Reclamation, you're unable to cast your Chemist's Insight plus Nexus of Fate in the same turn.
Yeah, I saw the Azorius Aggro deck take down game 3 despite not having any disruption because of a stumble on your side. And then all 3 games were close, though, but Azorius coming out on the right side of it. And now we have the final test of Simic Nexus, and that is against what is, right now, probably the default best deck in Sultai Midrange. It was well represented last weekend in the Team Open in Baltimore, 7 copies in day 2 out of 25 teams. Only 1 in the top 8, though.
Sure. Did get second, though.
Yeah, so a deck that people were clearly prepared for, I would say. But a deck that is powerful enough that it'll certainly stick around, and it'll continue to adapt as the rest of the metagame takes shape. A lot less mono red around after the first week, so that's something to move away from and start figuring out how to beat the Esper decks and things like that. So I'm certain we'll still see the Sultai deck around. It'll just have to evolve a little bit, as will basically every deck, because we're still early on, but this is an important test to pass, and I think game 1's going to be pretty good for the Nexus deck. There's not a super fast clock. I'm going to want a turn 3 Jade Light Ranger. And there's not a lot of disruption here. There's like Vivian Reed, an Assassin's Trophy, and that's about it. And then the post-board games, when I get negates and duresses and things, it'll get a lot more interesting.
We saw a very similar matchup that you and I played about 2 or 3 weeks ago, right before the first standard tournament featuring Ravnica Allegiance, where I was running my Teamer Reclamation deck against basically your first iteration of the Sultai Midrange strat. And I just remember game 1 felt super easy. Games 2 and 3, insanely hard because of those negates and disdainful strokes and duresses and all sorts of the better disruption. And I think that's going to be a very common way for people to interact with a deck like Wilderness Reclamation, Simic Nexus, whatever you want to call it. So.
And we saw the same kind of disruption package in match 1 come out of the Esper deck, but game 2 was still a huge slog because the Esper deck doesn't have much of a clock.
Right.
If you have a Jade Light Ranger and then all this disruption, that's a huge difference. And while I do have Thief of Sanity in the Esper sideboard, you have answers to that. You don't really have answers to the creatures out of the Sultai deck. So you lost match 2, so you get to be on the play.
All righty.
That's lucky.
Filled 2 questions while we are getting set up for game 1 here.
Got one here from Zigzag. Does Thief of Sanity have a place in the Sultai Midrange 75, or is it kind of a flavor of the month depending on the meta type of thing?
I mean, I think it's insanely good against Reclamation and Esper Control, to the point where I am under the impression that it is literally the only thing that matters when you are playing against Esper Control. Theirs matter a ton against you, and yours matter a ton against them. And if either player is able to establish a Thief of Sanity with protection, or just to go basically unfettered over the first few turns that it gets to attack, the game is just a snowball, and there's no real way to recover.
I agree. Thief is a very powerful card, and it's certainly not a flash in the pan. It's going to stick around in this format, but Sultai doesn't really have room for it. Are you really going to board the 7 or 8 disruption spells that you want and play a bunch of Thieves when you already have good creatures to back up the disruption? You're just not going to have enough in your space in your sideboard to appropriately prepare for the aggressive decks and the mirrors and things where Thief of Sanity is a liability.
All right. Let's do one more.
We had a question from earlier from Hunter. Misplaced Ginger has moved back to just green-black. What's your thoughts on leaving Krasis behind in the mid-range deck?
People have kind of figured out a way to beat Krasis, and that's basically just have these like big tempo swingy plays. I know, Ross, you wrote an article last week about the best ways to attack Hydroid Krasis, and that was like things like Vivian Reed, which when you play it, you deal with Krasis, and you force your opponent to have some really specific way to interact with you, or it's just such a huge tempo shift with things like Entrancing Melody, where you actually just get to steal it outright, and then they have to deal with that plus all the other things you developed. you need to basically invalidate the extra cards by closing the window, or at least shrinking the amount of ways your opponent can interact with you after their big Crassus resolves.
Yeah, and people are certainly moving to that. I'm still not a fan of cutting entirely because the blue offers more than Crassus too. I think Hostage Taker has been very impressive, and we've seen lists start running 2, maybe even 3 copies of it. The sideboard counterspells are important.
To me, from my perspective, Hostage Taker has felt and looked in a lot of scenarios better than Ravenous Chupacabra.
Yeah.
It's actually easier to cast sometimes because the double black is very restrictive. And on top of that, against a deck like the Azorius Aggro deck, a lot of times on turn 4, if you have an elf, or on turn 5, you play Hostage Taker, steal something like Snubhorn Sentry, and then play it, and you generate 2 blockers while taking away one of their cards for, I don't know, all their various permanence matters types things.
Sure. So there's more reasons than just Krasis to be blue, and Krasis is just such a powerful card that even if people are playing answers to it, I think you want access to it. We've seen lists trim down on it, play 2 or 3 copies instead of 4. Maybe that's where they move, but cutting entirely does not seem ideal to me.
All right, let's go ahead and start the game. I'll be on the plate, and here's an island.
Well, I have a Drowned Catacomb, and maybe the worst draw on my deck on turn 1.
Okay, your turn.
You always hate it when the top, like the 8th card in your deck is the brick. At least when it's in your opening hand, maybe you can mulligan.
Sure.
But when the 8th card is the brick, like every time I draw like Flame Slash and Isn't Phoenix against a control deck, it's like, really?
Yeah.
Had to be here right now. Branch Walker, we'll explore. Definitely don't want that land anywhere else.
All right, let's take a look with search. We got plenty of land, even though it's a memorial. I think we want to get rid of it. Your turn.
Okay. Mush you for 3.
All right, I'll go to
17. And we've got Jadelight Ranger on 3, so okay. Explore again. Don't want Wild Growth Walker. We're kind of looking for like Vivians, maybe some interaction. We've got good pressure here, so this is 1 counter.
All right, we'll play Growth Spiral.
That's
in a
bueno.
turn. Put in a Breeding Pool. Untap, search.
Yep.
Land in the grave. Draw for turn. Don't have it yet. I'll just say go.
Okay, I will. This is actually really awkward. Because I can attack Todd to 11, and now this other Jadelight Ranger is not going to get me lethal. Hitting a land off that first one was actually really bad. Maybe I should have done the math and like tried to ensure that I make them both 4s, or at least the first one as a 4, because it's worth 2 extra damage. So that might have been a mistake. Because now I'm effectively giving Todd an extra turn. No, those are basically the only things that matter.
I'm going to go ahead and actually play a Tempo Mystic. This should buy me a reasonable amount of time because I can block and trade with a Jadelight.
Yeah, that's really good too.
All right. Search trigger. Precognitive Perception is not bad here since we have exactly 5 and we kind of want to make a land drop. The joke though is if I draw a land, it's pretty good. And we already have a Chemister, so I guess maybe this in the graveyard is fine. That's just way better. Okay. In turn, untap with 1 floating.
Get the Chemisters with 2 up.
I can also just bounce my Frilled Mystic for... I have 1 floating, so I can just do this. Take 6 down to 5, and then Frilled Mystic or Chemisters based on whatever Ross does. I think that's actually just way better. I'm going to attack for 3 too. You're at 17. I just had to figure out what I was doing. All right, your turn.
That is a strong play. I will attack you for 6.
I'm at 5.
I will play a Wild Growth Walker.
That resolves.
I will play another Wild Growth Walker.
That also resolves.
I will pass the turn.
All right, we will draw 2. And we're looking for a Fog or a Nexus here. So this is
5
6.
6, tilt.
Trigger.
You're hiding that blink on me.
All right, we're going to keep it.
That's not good.
Yeah.
That is not good at all.
So I'm going to... we already played a land, but we'll Chemisters. Draw 2. In a turn, trigger, float 2.
Nexus. Maybe we'll get another turn?
I mean, he should get another turn. I don't have the second Reclamation just yet.
Yeah. I doubt that other turn will matter, given the contents of my hand.
Okay.
But
search. I don't think I need a second Hydroid Crassus. And we really just want to kind of establish the lock pieces for now, so we're going to bin it. Draw for turn. Alright, so we can use a Scanta, dig. And if we hit Nexus, okay, I get it. That's fine. I get it. Stop. Jeez.
What's the auto pass priority on Arena?
It's like Control or Shift Enter or something like that. All right, so I can also just Crassus, draw 3 cards. Stop. Go to 8. Yep. All right, we're gonna make a 5/5.
that's not good.
Oh no, sorry. So I only draw 2 cards. So I go to 7. Draw 2. Play this and then untap and say go. I'm not F6ing, sir.
Yeah, but you can let
Please?
Ross F6 through his turn.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I know there's a Frilled Mystic there still.
Yep. Right. So I'm at 7, so I'll
Yep.
just block here, take 5.
Yep.
Okay.
2.
Go to 2.
Play a 4/4 Crisis, trigger.
Trigger will resolve.
I go to 19.
Yep.
4/4 good.
I counter it.
Yep.
And activate Scanta. Find a Nexus. This should be enough. I'm just gonna attack for.
You need 2 more turns.
Yeah, but
Or no, you need 1 more turn.
I'm in general.
Yeah.
You're not quite dead right this second, but you will be dead very shortly. You're at 20,
I'm at 19.
19. All right, draw off turn. So it's 8. It's 8 plus 11.
That's 19. I'm dead. Frilled Mystic was very impressive in that game.
Yeah, I think the alternate mode of Blink of an Eye turning into counterspell is a pretty big deal. I don't know. Anyway, we're going to take a short break here. Don't go anywhere. We're going to just figure out sideboarding. We'll be right back right after these messages, and you can take a look at the deck list as we put them on the screen. We'll be right back.
And we are back here in match 3 of today's Simic Nexus Gauntlet against Sultai Midrange. A lot going on in sideboarding on my side. We see the standard pile of counter spells and discard spells here. This list favoring a lot of dresses, which I like because dress is a little bit better against like Is It and even Mono Blue Tempo, those sorts of decks. And it's just generally cheap when you're trying to tap out. We've got some instant speed ways to answer Sorcerer's Cant and Wilderness Reclamation. I particularly like Brontodon because it applies pressure, is a clock, and only requires leaving up 1 mana. And then we're bringing out Find Finality, which is horrific in this matchup where there's very little removal going on. Contempt, where there's no Planeswalkers. These are pretty obvious. Wild Growth Walker, I actually think is one of your better cards in Game 1, but that's more because the matchup is so bad in Game 1, using anything that can apply pressure. Once you have 10 more pieces of disruption, you're a little bit less concerned with your clock, and this isn't a great card in the matchup because the life is irrelevant.
Yeah.
We are forced to leave in 1 Ravenous Chupacabra. I considered 1 Walker, but I think in this in the post-board games where we're trading a lot, Hybrid Crisis is going to be a really big part of Todd's game plan, and so just cleanly answering Crisis and getting to continue to apply pressure to constrain him on what he can do once he untaps is important. So that's what led me to leave the 1 Chupacabra in.
Okay, my side, we're not sideboarding too much. Mass Manipulation, if the game goes long enough, is one of the best cards against Golgari or Simic, Sultai that you can possibly have.
Golgari Blue.
The Immortal Sun is a great way to recoup card advantage after they hit you with a bunch of discard spells and such, and it locks out Vivian Reed, one of their primary ways to be able to interact with Wilderness Reclamation. And then we're doing 2 copies of Negate as just an additional means of protection. Once you hit like 6 mana, you can play Reclamation with 1 Negate, and that's usually enough to force it through. because the Sultai deck is so prone to tapping mana on its own turn to cast these 2, 3, and sometimes even 4 mana creatures. So I'm going to hope that I draw a negate at some point at the right time, but I never want to start with one in my opening hand. I don't think,
Yeah, and you don't want to flood on them.
Yeah, cutting the Reslayers could be problematic, but I think his deck is slow enough that I just don't have to worry about it that much. Like, obviously, in that game, I was at 2 life at one point, so having it would have been okay. Like, it would have been better, but we seem to win pretty easily, even without it. So
Yeah, the fact that Frilled Mystic trades with Jade Light Ranger no matter what the Explorers hit, I think is a really big deal just for slowing this deck's clock down.
Yeah. All right, let's take a few questions while we're shuffling.
All right, we had another one from Zigzag. Is Incubation Druid better than Llanowar Elves only if you're playing at least a couple Hadana's climbs, or why one over the other in general?
I mean, it seems like most people have favored Llanowar Elves at this point. When I played the deck in Indianapolis, I had 4 Druid, 0 Elf, and because I was really impressed with the adapt on Druid, but as far as why, I couldn't really tell you. I sort of put the deck down after a mediocre result and started focusing on Modern. I think Llanowar Elves is just generally a more powerful card. The 1 mana creature is really good. Just get Jade Light on turn 2.
Yeah.
Those kind of sequences are just too important.
No, for sure. I think the problem is you don't have 4s to ramp into. Like, the 4s in your deck are like Hostage Taker, which are generally better as the game goes longer, and Incubation Druid's ramp ability isn't nearly as important as Llanowar Elves. And if you notice, drawing a Llanowar Elf at any point after turn 2 or whatever is usually pretty bad. And you see them put into the graveyard to like 99% of the time whenever they are seen with an Explorer card. And I think Incubation Druid is slightly better as the game goes long, but not by enough to really overtake that mana slot. Any version that had previously played Druid of the Cow, I think, could probably play Incubation Druid without trouble. But things have changed, So, yeah. I don't know.
Llanowar Elves is also just a lower investment at 1 mana versus 2, so when it dies, you're fine with it. It's easier to get with 1 mana out of it before it dies, whereas Incubation Druid often just trades for a Lava Coil or Lightning Strike or Shock or something like that, cast down, and then you're at parity still. So I think that's another consideration. At first, I thought the mana base might not be able to handle casting Llanowar Elves in turn 1, but it's pretty easy to get 4 or 5 forests along with the 8 Shock lands, and that's good enough.
Yeah, I mean, in previous iterations, usually played 4 Overgrown Tomb with like 9 forests, sometimes even 8.
Yeah.
So you're kind of at the same point.
Yep.
All right, let's do one more.
All right, FDF86. Which version of Nexus Reclamation feels the most consistent? Bant, Simic, or Teamer?
I'll let you handle this one.
Sure. So Teamer actually had some results last weekend. I know one got into at least one got into day 2. And I think maybe even finished in the top 16. Teamer Reclamation guy came up to me and after day 1 and said, "Hey, we're doing really good. We're like 6-0, and I've only lost 1 match so far, and the deck's going great." And I actually ended up typing up his deck list at one point when we were figuring out who was in day 2, and I was just like, "Yes, got there." And I think at the end of day 2, he came up and talked to me about the deck, and really nice guy. I forget his name. I apologize for that. But aside from that, Ross, you said you thought a few actually did well in the MCQ?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I was scrolling through the list looking at the aggressive decks, but I'm pretty sure I saw several Teamer Reclamations, not Nexusing. So similar to what you've been doing. I think they had Nimbus as the main, though. Sure. They're a little bit more controlling.
So here's the thing. I love the sideboard plan involving Niv Mizzet. I think it's one of the strongest sideboard plans that any deck in the format has access to, because you are drastically changing how your deck interacts with your opponent. You go from this like kind of combo-ish style Reclamation, Explosion deck where your opponent starts boarding in Negate and Duress and whatever, and then they just kind of sit on their heels. They'll keep any hand that's like 3-land Duress, Negate, 1 creature or whatever. And then at one point you're just like, okay, Growth Spiral, untap, turn 5, Niv Mizzet. What are you going to do about it? Even if you do have the answer for it immediately, they still draw a card. But most of the time, you don't have that answer in your deck anymore because you took out a bunch of removal spells that would normally deal with it. Or your removal spells are like Motive Craving and Cast Down, which you are obviously taking out of your deck because they don't do anything in that matchup. But I would love to see a bit more exploration of the Teamer archetype, because we've seen a ton of Bant Nexus on Magic Arena. This Simic Nexus deck feels like it's just missing something, and I wanted to try it out to see if I was actually missing that other color, and I absolutely am. So I'm going to be probably going back to Teamer after this and doing some more work on it. I saw a couple of really good versions come out of 5.0 deck list last week, and then we got some deck lists from the MCQ this past weekend. So, all right, let's get to it. You're up.
I've been mulling this hand over.
Still? It's that bad, huh?
It's just awkward, man. A lot of double green cards with only one green source, and all these lands enter tapped. I think I have to mulligan this.
You could have mulliganed at any point.
Yeah, but I was thinking about it.
All right, new question.
It was a tough one. It was Memorial to Folly, Drowned Catacomb, Woodland Cemetery, Jadelight Ranger, Thrashing Brontodon, Hydra Crisis, Vivian Reed.
Here's a pretty soft one from earlier.
Okay.
From Matt N. What are your best beard grooming tips?
Condition your beard.
I mean,
Don't shampoo it that often. It dries it out.
Yeah.
Condition.
I mean, the one thing people don't understand about hair in general, or at least like guys and myself included for a long time, is that the thing you need to take care of is actually the skin underneath the hair. And like various beard oils you can get to help not only like kind of straighten out your beard hair so it's not as wiry and as coarse, helps a lot, but also you just need to make sure that at some point the skin underneath the hair gets moisturizer, whether that's hair conditioner or various lotions or what have you. So there you go.
All right. So we do have another Hysteus question. If you're sideboarding Niv, do you have to play fewer forests? Does it change what early spells you play?
So as far as I'm concerned, the deck shouldn't be playing forest. You should be a green splash. The green should basically just be for reclamation. Maybe Frilled Mystic, but it hurts the mana base so much. Triple red for Niv and double green for Frilled Mystic is so difficult. And if I'm not mistaken, almost everyone has been copying my mana base that I figured out, where you actually get to play 5 bases. You can play 3 island, 2 mountain, and then you have roughly 10 shock lands and 10 check lands. So you kind of tilt the shock land build and the check land build, but you still want to play those 5 basics because they are the easiest way to cast Niv Mizzet, especially after sideboard. So I don't like forest in the deck personally.
Okay, I'm ready to go. 6
right,
is fine.
you're up.
Kept on top. I got 18 to play Land Worlds.
All right, let's do Memorial to Genius. Memorial to Ross Merriam.
Branch Walker.
Sure, attack for 1. Nice elf.
Pass.
Got me.
1918.
Let's go forest. Search for Skanta. Skanta. I don't know, man.
Branch Walker.
Sure.
I'll leave that one on top.
Ooh.
Attack for 3.
Yep, 16.
Best Land Worlds I've ever seen.
It's pretty good. Looks pretty good. Well, that's unfortunate because it's just going to get hit with a duress. So, with that there's literally nothing else you should take. So, what do I want? Just Growth Spiral at this point? Okay. It's a bit aggressive, I guess, but your turn. I don't actually care if he discards either of these other cards. And I'm kind of running out of time because he had a really aggressive slanted start.
So now
I didn't even take into consideration just keeping it and forcing you to duress me. That's gonna come back and haunt me, I bet.
This is 6. That'll get you to 10. And I can only make it 2/2.
Yeah. Play your Vivian.
Do not have a Vivian. That would be very easy here.
Okay. Are you thinking about duress plus 2/2 Crassus?
Man,
is it Crassus or Crasus?
I think it's Crisis.
Getting real sick of people making fun of my pronunciations. I just want to get them right.
Angarth.
Angrath. Okay. Look, a lot of times I'm saying them in ways that they should be pronounced. Okay.
Sure. Attack for 6.
10.
Pass. This Branch Walker was a 3/2. This first one, we'd have lethal next turn.
Yeah. Ifs and buts for Canyon Nuts. I'd have a Wilderness Reclamation. The fact that he didn't duress me is baffling to me, but at the same time, it makes me wish I had just not been so stupid.
Attack rate.
All right, I'll play Frilled Mystic.
I'll cast it down.
Sure. So I'm gonna go to 2.
Yep. I'll duress you.
All right. You want Nexus, Precog, or Mortal Sun?
I don't know what I want. So you're at
2.
You're at 2 right now?
Yep.
So you're just very dead?
Yep.
If you draw...
If you take this, Reclamation no longer can save me.
Well, Reclamation can't cast Nexus.
Oh, right. Oh, you're right.
You're one short of that.
Okay.
But if you Reclamation and then precog, you'd only have 1 mana left. That's not going to do it.
And I have all my root snares in the sideboard. I'm pretty sure I'm dead.
Yeah, I think you're just dead. I
think this one is the highest upside by a lot.
Yeah.
This is the one where things can get out of control. IMO. All right. Search for Escanta. Negate goes to the graveyard. Draw for turn. All right. Dead.
All right. 4 mana 2/2.
Yeah, I should have just kept the Reclamation and force him to dress me that one turn. I don't know. Me putting it in the graveyard was pretty aggressive, but I felt like I just need to hit Growth Spiral in that spot to have a chance. But it's possible I just can't afford to get rid of all my root snares either. Like if I'd had root snare in that spot, I have another redraw, pushes me towards being able to transform Escanta.
I think you're right. I think you need a Growth Spiral to actually win that game.
See, I'm not a big dum-dum.
I don't think keeping the Reclamation leads to anything good. You just save a point of damage from the Llanowar Elves. I would have just cast Arrest, taken it.
No, you would. Well, sure, but you didn't know that I didn't have it. But if I keep on top, you're going to probably dress me, though, right?
Yeah.
So if I put in the graveyard, what does that mean? It means I don't have another one in hand, right?
Yeah.
So the 1 point damage, I don't know. Maybe you should have dressed instead of dealing me one anyway.
Maybe.
All right. We'll be on the play.
I kind of wanted to have the duress the next turn to check for a Frilled Mystic in case I needed to resolve something off the top.
Sure.
But you're probably playing a Frilled Mystic next turn anyway to block.
Yep.
So, yeah, I probably should have just given you the point. Are you already mulliganing?
I had 1 land.
That's not very many lands.
No, I'm probably just going to mull 7, though. Have a good last game.
Okay, well, we'll both do that.
Okay.
So I had 5 lands.
All right, question me, bro.
All right, so we've had a few throughout the day, but what are your thoughts on choosing Esper Control over Jeskai? And why is that the more dominant deck at the moment?
I think the presence of both Kaya's Wrath and Mortify are very important.
I actually think it's Thought Erasure more than anything. But
that's true.
All of those cards, the black cards are very good right now. Mortify being able to hit enchantments as well as creatures, it's just a great removal spell for the deck to have access to. Thought Erasure is potent as a form of disruption as well as smoothing out your draw with Surveil. Sideboard of Thief's Sanity steals games very easily, whereas something like Legion Warboss can take games quickly if your opponent is unprepared, but if they ever find the right answer to it, it's no longer a huge issue. Whereas Thief's Sanity, if they don't find the answer immediately, gives you basically a free card. I don't think Jeskai is bad. I just think right now Esper just has better tools.
Yeah, better reactive tools for sure.
All right, your turn.
I have Llanowar Elves again, going to 18.
Your turn.
This one's a good Llanowar Elves.
Ooh.
Jade Light.
Sure.
Bin.
Ooh. It's a tough one.
Keep that one.
All right, I'm gonna play a Growth Spiral, put the land, and say go because I can't draw lands. That's unfortunate.
I'm going to duress you.
All right, well, I got a handful of good ones. You're probably taking this, but feel free to.
Yes, let us take the Reclamation, and then I'll play another Cemetery and another Jade Light. I was like, didn't I draw this turn? I don't want a second one after I've already taken a Reclamation. And this I don't think does anything. So
All right, I'm just
back
gonna
for
pack
4.
them up. I don't have a lane on top.
Yeah, my hand's pretty. I'm just
Reset.
searching for a blue source
That's
for this
fine.
negate.
Reset quick. Let's play another one. I know we're over time, but we had about 10 minutes of dead air because of internet troubles, and I just want to hit my 4th land.
So it's 10 of. We got some time.
Yeah, but we don't have enough time to play like a full game. If
We do if I brown you again.
Okay, buddy. I mean, that's kind of the problem with a deck that has to post board rely on Reclamation and Nexus, right? We've gone over this time and time again where we're trying to figure out different sideboard strats that allow us, at the very least, to be able to side out both Reclamation and Nexus of Fate. Game 1, they're obviously stellar together. A lot of decks don't have very many ways to interact with either, let alone both of them. And after sideboard, though, basically every deck that's not mono-red gets access to a bunch of counterspells at the very least. But on top of that, stuff like Sultai get Duress, too. And it's just so hard to fight through that stuff. You basically can never stumble, and a lot of your means of protection just gets worse and worse. So I don't know. I just really like the sideboard plan that involves Niv Mizzet, and
that's why the Gates deck is sweet. They get Circuitous Route, which is another way to jumpstart the mana.
Yep, that's definitely true. All right, I'm going to keep this one and hope that I don't get duressed on turn 1.
Okay, I'll keep this.
Your turn.
Solely because I have duress on turn 1.
Come on. I hate you.
I'm at 18.
Go.
I still don't feel great about this game. The rest of my hand's not great.
So
But
that's the only reason you kept it?
Oh yeah, it was
me?
literally too good.
Thanks, man. Your turn.
Ooh, that's a fine draw.
Sure. Brick.
Go.
Okay. Well, now you're in trouble.
So Todd, if you win this match and the day ends in a draw, does that mean I get the marbles?
Sure. Rob can have all the
Oh,
marbles.
that's awkward.
Well, this is game 3, and I don't think we're going to play a 5th game. So
This
at the
is
very
game
least,
4.
Or sorry, this is game 4. So
Seared 17, go.
Oh,
What's your hand?
You're ruining the illusion that I was just going to keep this as game 3 on the YouTube archive.
Oh, okay. Oh, not that.
Yeah.
Make a 2/2 and draw a card and gain a life.
Sure.
So, move to untap.
Trigger on the stack.
He did. All right. Untap these.
You're at 18 now?
Yep. You know, I have Frilled Mystic and Nexus, but I can't cast the Frilled Mystic.
Yep.
I'm at 18.
Attack for 3.
I'm at 15.
I think I need to take a turn to get some more pressure, so I'm going to take a risk.
Sure.
Land. And that can go to the graveyard.
All right. We're going to Chemster and draw 2.
Yep. So
Untap. Draw for turn.
I'm not super scared of dying here because the Todd's like short on lands. He doesn't have a card advantage source yet.
Go to
13.
I'm going to bounce Jade Light and draw a card. Flow to green. Go.
Okay, now I can't really recast because of this Frilled Mystic. Back.
Yep, at 10.
Pass.
I'll in a turn of Frilled Mystic.
Yep.
Tap. Draw for turn.
You have 2 canisters in the yard right now?
Yep. Play a search.
So you can Nexus still, but I'm not super scared of Nexus yet. I'm going to negate the search. Search is very powerful here.
I'm going to hold back on D, in a turn trigger, float 3.
Yep.
Let's go Chemister. We're going to pitch the Nexus of Fate. The extra turn is not a huge deal. My hand, the rest of my hand is also just every card that I want in the matchup. So
That's not good.
Yep.
I'm in danger.
All right, we're gonna draw 2, and I'm probably passing the turn. I don't think I have much else that I want to do after that.
You might want to Growth Spiral into a land, I think. It's about the only thing.
That's fair. Okay, your turn.
But even that you could do on my turn.
Mhm.
Okay. I will
Please say pass turn. Please say pass turn.
attack for
Block.
3. That trade's going to happen regardless, and I don't want like Todd to set up some sort of like mini combo where he bounces my Branch Walker and just time walks me. Though I'm probably just dead if that happens anyway. Pass.
Pass. All right. Chemister pitch land.
Just for the people that are curious, I've now put up on the screen. We do have the marbles in the studio, so they are here.
Draw
Don't worry.
2.
We didn't lose them.
Before you draw, I'm gonna actually after you draw, then I'll do this.
Okay. I'm gonna EOT Growth Spiral.
Yeah, that's what I was afraid of, but I didn't want to let you untap.
Well, lucky for you, I don't have a land off of it yet. Okay. Untap.
Yep.
Draw for turn. 8th land. I'll play
Shocking to
Shocking. Play this.
Stroke.
Belt Mystic.
Yep. Saw this coming a mile away.
All right. Untap these. EOT and your turn.
2/2 Hydroid Crisis.
Counter.
Okay, I'll go to 19.
Okay.
Pass the turn.
I'll play Chemister. Untap. Draw for turn. Land. Tap for 6. 13. Play 7/7, so I'll draw 3. Go to 13.
You go to 11. You shocked before.
Sure thing. And I'll untap and then cast Nexus of Fate.
For exactly 13.
Weird.
Yeah. It was not a great hand, but I could not resist keeping the turn 1 duress when you just
for
said
the
it.
memes.
Yeah.
Okay.
As long as he
Do
doesn't
you want to play a 5th and decisive one? So if
No.
you beat me, you get the.
I'm already ahead. We had 2 draws and a win. 102.
Wow. You just taking the draw like scum.
No, it's
Okay.
30:57.
Oh
We're
no.
gonna take 2 questions.
Oh, you're trying to get to the bus stop in time. All right.
Yeah, trying to get home. I got stuff to do.
You know, we were
Got-
off the air for like 10 minutes, right?
Got a
But 10 minutes is
yeah,
enough to
we're-
play another game.
We're gonna take some questions and go over a little bit.
Yeah, let's take some questions while we're shuffling for game 5.
No, we played so many games.
All right. Rob,
I'm gonna need some questions.
right?
Okay, if he's got
There it
no
is.
questions, then we have to play another
Yes.
game. I hate you, chat.
Yes. We convinced him to play more Magic. That's like his whole job. All right. Let me ask you this: if you were going to play, or sorry, so we have later this week where we're going to test out the mono blue deck, right? That's going to be our Thursday video. We're going to do mono blue versus the Gauntlet, just flipping sides. You're going to be playing mono blue. I'm going to be playing the same 3 decks that you played today, maybe with a tweak or 2, just because I don't necessarily want to do the same exact lists.
Sure.
But right now, if you had to decide, what deck are you playing in Dallas this weekend? I'm almost 7 while he's thinking.
We did just get a question.
Oh, let him answer my question first.
I really
Well,
want
about
to
the
say
winning
mono blue,
decoration.
but it's either it's one of the decks I wrote about today in my article, which was mono blue Visit and Azorius.
Oh, and where can I read that article at, Ross Merriam?
StarCityGames.com.
Ooh, nice. StarCityGames.com. That's a good plug.
My heart says mono blue and my brain says Izzet Drakes.
Dude, I think Izzy Drake's busted. So, but I mean, that's me. So, you know. All right. I have Mulligan to 6.
I will keep my 7.
All right, fine.
Overgrown Tomb. You got a
Got a
scry.
scry.
Yeah.
I'm gonna bottom it. All right, go.
Drowned Catacomb Branch Walker.
Sure.
I'm gonna leave that one on top.
Search for Wisconsin. Your turn.
So you're at 17.
The Muffin Dragon wants to know, what are your favorite sandwiches?
My favorite sandwiches? I'm a big fan of meatball sandwiches if it's a good meatball.
I'm gonna go with a falafel pita.
Awful pita. That's a nice one. Ross has recently become vegetarian. If it wasn't vegetarian, what would it be? What was your old school favorite?
Either meatball subs were a favorite, but also we gotta get an attack in.
Yeah,
You're
already
14.
marked me at.
You can go.
I'm at 14. This is turn 3. I've taken no damage.
I already marked it down then. Okay, we're good.
Yeah.
I was a big fan of the Reuben. Nice corned beef Reuben. Though the best sandwich is actually the Dinnick's roast pork sandwich in the Reading Terminal Market.
No, it's Tommy Dinnick's. What's it called? The Reuben with pastrami. The pastrami Reuben has literally ruined me for all other pastrami Reubens.
11.
No, I'm just gonna bounce one.
Okay.
Buy me some
So
time.
go to 14.
Yep.
I am gonna fire off this duress.
Go on. Mass manipulation or negate.
I will take the mass manipulation.
Okay.
I don't think you're going to have time to negate anything, nor do I have anything you can negate. You're at 14 right now.
Yep. So if you get 2 counters on it, it's pretty good.
Yeah, that's never going to happen. Go.
Keep that one. Your turn.
Attack for
I'm at
5.
9.
You're 9.
Mm-hmm.
Merfolk Branchwalker.
Counter it.
Pass.
Top card. Land. Not really what I need at the moment, though. It's not that bad. Go.
Ross, if you weren't vegan, what's your order in and out when you go to Dallas this week?
Double with grilled onions and animal fries.
Is the animal fries the secret fries?
Yeah. And it's the chopped grilled onions, not the whole grilled.
Right.
Which is another option.
I'm in trouble. Block.
Take 2. You're at 7.
Yep.
Also, will you sign Hexaplus's Arclight Phoenixes at SCG Dallas? SCG
Sure.
Dallas?
I'll sign anything you want me to sign. I'll go to 18.
Ross loves the attention.
I'll play a Thrashing Brontodon.
Oh, no. Okay.
And
I'm learning a valuable lesson here.
Pass
It's
the turn.
that negate is not good in this matchup at all. Chemisters?
Yep.
Okay. You want to kill this search for Escanto?
kind of want to kill you, but this search is definitely good.
You do whatever you want, baby.
Yeah, let's blow it up.
Alright, let's make a 4/4 and draw 2 and gain 2. Go to 9. Your turn. There are some spots where Hydrocrace is just the nuts. This spot particularly, Ross probably just sitting on negate.
Dress you.
Yeah, negate or growth spiral. I have a second.
Take the spiral because you have 2 negates.
Yep.
Shock myself to 16 and play my own 4/4 Krasis.
Yep.
Go to back up to 18.
Yep, 18 and 9.
Pass the turn.
Draw for turn. I'm going to go ahead and Chemisters, discarding Forest. Draw 2. Your turn.
Attack you for 4.
Block.
Trade these. Play a Forest, play a Carnage Tyrant.
That's not bad.
Pass the turn. It's 9 damage.
It's not bad at all. Crap. I'm going to bounce this on your end step. Reclamation.
Yep.
Well, I know he has a negate, which kind of sucks. He's trying to play around mine, but I just have to run this into it, I think.
Search is fine.
Oh, you have Assassin's Trophy?
Yeah.
This is I'm stupid. Doesn't matter. Okay. Get a land. Your turn. I'm at 2. I just have 2 negates hanging out. I'm at 2. This is where the teamer version gets to play like Star of Extinction or something here, and it's.
I'll go to. I guess I can wait on that.
I don't have any
Another
sort
Jade
of
Light.
fog or wrath effect here, so I'm in
No
the
counters on
screws.
that one. Another Jade Light.
Jeez, Louise. He's been sitting
We'll
on
leave,
those for a
we'll
while.
leave that one.
Yeah, so negates just shouldn't be in the deck. I have 2 of them. I've drawn them quite a few times, and they just literally don't do anything. So transform this.
Yep.
Draw
How big of a
turn.
Krasis can you cast?
Oh, I didn't draw one. So
3, 6,
fine.
7, 8, 9. Yeah. You could cast an
Mm.
8/8 and go to 13. That would have been really good.
Land for turn, in turn, float 1, untap. Activate again.
Yeah. With 6 mana, I'm not sure what you're trying to do. Oh no, that's 7.
7.
Oh,
What are you
Till.
talking about?
Am I dead?
No, I didn't find it.
Whew.
And I don't have fogs in my deck anymore, so
Yep.
I'm dead. Good games. We could have potentially gotten there if we had fog in our deck instead of negate, but the whole game would have changed. It would have just been a different fight on a different scale
Yeah.
each time.
I might have been taking the fogs of the duresses at certain points.
Yeah, possibly. So we're just going to chalk it up to negate shouldn't be in the deck, and I just have to find a different sideboard plan. But I think the best one, especially for this kind of matchup, is going to involve a different color, whether it's Star of Extinction or Teferi or
narrow counterspell against the 4 duress deck. Yeah, probably not the best.
Yeah, I mean, it's something we just learned over time where if your opponent has 4 duress, something like negate's not going to be as potent as basically protective negates are always going to be worse than defensive negates.
Yeah.
And we actually learned that a long time ago when we were playing Force of Will and Legacy, right? Like if you're playing a Show and Tell deck, your Force of Wills when you're protecting your Show and Tell means you're going to be so low on resources that if it doesn't work out, you're dead. Like all your stuff is gone. Now, from the other side of things, if you're using a Force of Will to protect from some big spell and it does work, like that is a trade-off you are willing to make because the rest of your deck is just playing like normal Magic, And in this scenario, the negates effectively are our Force of Wills, but we are taxed a bit because instead of being taxed on cards, we're actually taxed on mana. And in this matchup, I definitely just want as much mana as possible, like all the time, because I have so many ways to draw cards. And almost every game I lost, I was like just a card short or just a mana short of really being able to turn the corner. And all my sideboard plans just felt bad. And I don't know if it's because the sideboard is not good, or maybe it's just that this color combination of just Simic doesn't give you the necessary tools to change how you play the games. And that leaves you vulnerable to all these really strong sideboard cards.
Yeah, we noticed the Simic deck has to really stay with the same game plan. You tried to bring it out once against Esper. It didn't work out very well. So it's certainly a more linear version of the deck than Bant or Teamer. And that definitely caught up with you because most sideboards are packing 6-7 pieces of disruption and sometimes more in the case of Sultai. And they came up big in the post-board games. I think you won every pre-board game.
Sounds right.
Yeah.
Might have lost pre-board against the White Wing deck, but I don't think so. No, you messed up.
Yeah. I messed up and you were able to capitalize. So
Frilled Mystic was super high variance. Like either it was the nut or it was just like a 4-mana 3/2 blocker. And I don't know if there's any way around that. I think Frilled Mystic works very well when you kind of dog walk your opponent into the Frilled Mystic, like when you take initiative. And this deck isn't great at taking initiative, so it's possible that Frilled Mystic is not the card you want in that slot. But it does pair super good with Reclamation. So
yeah, it also is a card that I think gets a lot worse when your opponent is aware of it. I'm guessing a lot of people playing against Ali thought like he was just a Bant deck and was missing white mana because that's the splash color, and weren't thinking about Frilled Mystic and just played into it, and that helped him out.
Sure,
it's a card that definitely is. It's very hard to hold up without telegraphing it. Chemist's Insight does help disguise it to an extent, but still, it's definitely a tough card to bluff.
Yep.
So we got time for I think one question if we got one over there, Rob.
Yeah, we got one here from. We could do this as we go over the subs here. We had 8 today actually. So
wow, nice.
28 is resub for 3 months in a row. They said great content is the great content has done a great job of keeping me entertained while deployed, so please keep it up. Question for Ross. How do you think the Hollow One matchup is against Izzet Phoenix?
In my experience, it's been very good for Izzet. Hollow One is a deck that struggles a lot with Thing in the Ice. I'm imagining, I haven't played the matchup much recently, but now with Izzet being as popular as it is, I imagine Hollow One players are packing main deck Fatal Pushes, and that's a big deal.
Yeah. They basically moved away from Bolt in favor of Push because of just Thing in the Ice.
Yes, exactly. So I imagine that shifts the matchup pretty significantly towards them and makes it close. But in my experience, as long as you're able to keep the pressure off early, and so I try not to be aggressive unless my draw is really good or they stumble. I prioritize just answering my opponent's threats and keeping my life total high, because eventually, like, you'll transform a thing and that'll be big, or you'll deal with their big creatures and their Flamewick Phoenixes won't come back, and then they have to sort of kill you with Bloodghast, which is hard, and eventually run them out of Fatal Pushes with Crackling Drakes and things, or just beat them down with Arclight Phoenix. So I think your long game is stronger than theirs, so you really just have to prioritize being the control deck in the early turns. But for the most part, like, they're just not interacting with you, so like a lot of the time your fast draws will just overrun them with a flipped Thing in the Ice on turn 3.
Yeah, I mean, I think Thing in the Ice is the deal breaker, and if they have the answer for it, you're going to be in trouble, especially if they have one of their aggressive draws. But as you mentioned, your turn 2 arc lights where you just bring back multiple on the play, especially, is just so hard for any deck to beat, let alone one that has basically removal that doesn't exile it permanently, or like blockers, just interaction.
Your arc lights do play defense in that matchup a lot too.
Yeah.
Like I'm fine trading 2 of them for a Hollow One or a Gurmag Angler or something, or double blocking you in a Flameblade Adept. That's the scary card. Like I'll bolt that thing on sight, and as long as they don't get going, your late game is stronger, and they just don't interact with you. So
all right, couple more.
All right. So run through the rest of these subs real quick.
Yeah.
Sparrow is resubscribed for 5 months in a row.
I actually met Joey this weekend, so it was nice to meet you, and thanks for being a supporter of not only the SCG tour, but also for my stream as well. Thank you.
Orasonic 12 for 16 months in a row.
Wow.
And then
They really don't like commercials.
For 2 months.
Thank you.
The Hoppa for 3 months. Endgame 13 subscribed for 4 months. They asked the question, we've seen a lot of new decks out of the new set. What are some decks that you think look good that haven't had a breakout performance?
I don't know, man. I mean, I would argue that Reclamation hasn't had a breakout performance. Like, a couple of like good finishes in classics just doesn't count, and the raw power of the engine once it gets going is so disgusting. It's just literally every deck can splash blue if they want to and have access to up to like 8 2-mana counterspells that completely obliterate you. The first open of the new standard format was literally like Esper Midrange, Esper Control, the White Weenie splashing blue, is that Drake's, which already has main deck Spell Pierce, like all these decks that are just so heavily slanted after sideboard against these Reclamation decks. And I thought I was onto something with the Teamer version because of Niv and even Murmuring Mystic to an extent, and the fact that no one has won a tournament with it yet kind of surprises me. And I mean, obviously I have a lot of eggs in this basket, and it doesn't make any sense because the card is disgusting, but sometimes I just lose, and because the deck not only has a fail rate, because of these potent sideboard cards, you just are not playing the same game as your opponent. And so if they just play a normal game of Magic and hit you with one key disruption spot and you have like no good follow-up, the game's over. We saw the White Weenie deck, you didn't draw blue for your Disdainful Stroke. It just didn't matter. I stumbled and I died. That was it. So I don't know.
Yeah. As for me, it's hard to think about a deck that hasn't seen the performance. I would guess the card Judith is a very powerful card, but
that's a good one.
I'm pretty unhappy with all the homes I've seen it in. So I think that's a card that might just have to wait a while to get its day, because right now trying to build a mana base for a 3-color aggressive deck is hard, and Rakdos by itself doesn't seem to have the power necessary. So I'm waiting on Judith to do something, but I wouldn't be surprised if it takes another set or two to fill out the shells that it's going to go in.
Sure.
All right. Now we had a sub from John1028. That's 27 months.
Wow.
The Enlightened Master resubscribed for 2 months. It said sub for Tiny Rick. And then Frozine is subscribed for 5 months in a row. So thank you to all of our subs.
Yes,
Great.
Thank you.
Well, thanks everyone for the support of the stream. We really appreciate it. Because of those subs and because of y'all watching, we get to do things like team up with Cardboard Live to bring y'all some really sweet overlays and things like that. We get to bring y'all cool graphics because we can afford to pay people to make sweet graphics, so you get to see all the deck lists.
Here.
Yeah, absolutely. And over the last couple months, every now and then they'll just pull us to the side, like, hey, what do y'all think about this? So we get to see some of this stuff a little while before it comes out, and they all do a really great job. And I just want to say thank you so much for everything. So
yes. So that is going to be it here for today on Versus Live. As we've mentioned a couple times throughout the show, on Thursday, we're going to be running back Standard Gauntlet in preparation of this weekend's Open in Dallas. Only I'm going to be on the side of the test deck. I'm going to be playing Mono Blue Aggro, deck that I think is very underrated and particularly well situated against Esper Control and Sultai Midrange. So we'll be running back against, at the very least, those 2 decks. And probably one other aggressive deck. Might flip it to Izzet this time because that one's pretty popular. Todd will be building those lists the way he wants them for Dallas, and we'll run another Gauntlet with I think, an underrated deck going into this weekend, and a deck that performed well in the MCQ.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for watching Versus Live by StarStateGames.com. Thanks to all the subs, everybody watching at home. Thanks to Rob for putting on a great show. We appreciate it. Sorry for the technical difficulties there in the middle, but I feel like we finished strong. For Ross Merriam, I'm Todd Anderson. We'll see you on Thursday. Thanks for watching.